Ready, Joshua?
Yep. I woke up ready. I've been so excited for this. Is your other webinar fine to finish off without you, Brian?
Now it looks like we are almost good to go, and I can see a lot of people racing in. So good morning to all the people that are jumping on board for this webinar. It's good to have everybody. And the numbers are climbing quite nicely. As we're already up to 38 people. So we probably had, I was wondering, if we could set up like a virtual waiting room for a webinar where we could have virtual coffee and not let people just wait
let them chat amongst themselves
and chat amongst themselves. So it's definitely one for a call. But excellent to have everybody that's coming in. We'll give others an opportunity to keep trickling in, but I'm really excited to have this session with you today. I've got Josh Alexandre from InfoDocs with me, and then I also have Cerize Roets from the Creative CFO. So, and ultimately, Stunning Experience, which is the creative guide to the compliance checklist. My name is Brian Chwere. I'm the community manager from CFO South Africa. Cerize Roets will, she's going to reveal how she's automated the compliance checklist with the creative CFO statutory functions. And also Josh Alexandre will talk to us about some of the pain points that South Africa is still experiencing when they try to at least be CIPC compliant. So definitely one to look out for. And I say CIPC compliance because it's often a nightmare. And then a lot of people have experienced this. So looking forward to today's session to get us underway. So a few more minutes, a couple more people are now in, and I believe, Josh, you are going to start us off today.
Yes.
With just kind of ironing out what are the pain points, technicalities, the process, and then obviously we will bring in Cerize Roets as well to kind of talk about her experience on the compliance side. So I'll call you in a second. I see a lot of people already greeting us in the chat. So welcome, good morning. And just as a little bit of a pet hate of mine with Zoom, when you post in the chat, please ensure that you select all panelists and attendees so that we can know where you are calling us from. And just let us know your name, perhaps even your business, and you are here for the compliance guide. So really excited to have you. So remember, select all panelists and attendees as you jump in and tell us your name. Throughout the course of the session, if you have any questions, post them in the chat, and then we'll get Joshua or Cerize to attend to those questions when we get to the Q&A piece. So without further ado, I think we've got a good audience in attendance already. And some high energy. So high energy has also jumped in. Energy Daka, good to see you as well. So Joshua, without further ado, I'm going to hand off the reins to you so you can take it away for us. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you so much, Brian. It's really a pleasure and an honor to be here. We've been knocking on the CFO South Africa's door for a year or two now. So it's cool to finally be able to get onto the platform and in front of your prestigious audience. I'm just going to start with a quick introduction from my side, hand over to Cerize for a quick introduction. And then what I really want to do, what I'm quite excited to do, is do a little poll. So I'm going to post a link in the chat so long. We're going to circle back to that. But if you want to open it up so long, we're just going to ask a few questions, see who's with us, find out a little bit more about you and what your pain points are when talking about compliance. So my name is Josh Alexandre. I am the founder and CEO of InfoDocs. And InfoDocs is an online company secretarial software that helps you get CIPC compliant, your share register up to date, all your annual returns filed, and all your supporting documents generated automatically. We are in the company secretarial space, which is not always the sexiest industry, but I got to tell you, I do love working in it. It's far-reaching. We're talking about every registered company in South Africa. You'll hear from Cerize how they apply it to the SMEs and how they're building a world where more SMEs succeed. So before I ramble on, Cerize, do you want to give us a quick introduction?
Hi everyone, I'm Cerize from Creative CFO. I head up the legal and secretarial department here. Yes, exactly what Joshua just said. Our vision is a world where more SMEs succeed, and ultimately providing our clients with enough information as well as guidance into the Companies Act and the regulations there too. Okay, Joshua,
Awesome.
let's start off with your poll.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm just gonna, Brian, please can I get some screen sharing access here? And then, yeah, okay, cool. So for anyone who missed that part, I've posted a link in the chat. I'm posting it again. If you click that link, it's going to take you to a live poll, which we should be able to see once you are up and running. This is the page that you should see once you've clicked that link. And what I'm going to do is start it off by just opening that first question. How are you feeling today? Just a little icebreaker. Let us know how you're doing, where you are, what life is like on this sunny Wednesday in South Africa. And for those of you who are aware or who are perhaps a nerd like myself, how you're doing on Star Wars Day, May the 4th. May the 4th be with you, all the nerds out there. But yeah, let us know, send in your answers. We're going to be doing a few more questions, so really get this open. Let's see what information we can collect from this prestigious audience that I'm so keen to engage with. I love the smileys. I don't know about you, Cerize, but I'm a big advocate for sending smiley faces in emails. I think in this corporate world we live in, especially in the B2B world, I love the reactions that I get when I send little smiley faces in my emails. It's cool to see them here on the poll today.
As long as they're smileys and not winks, it might be
misinterpreted.
misinterpreted.
Got to make sure your finger doesn't slip when you put in a smiley face there. You're absolutely right.
Josh, just to confirm, we can just QR code that with your camera as well, right? And you're good to go with that as well.
Absolutely. QR code it. If that link isn't working for you, you can go directly to slido.com. If you're watching on your laptop or computer and want to do this elsewhere on your phone, go to slido.com, type in that 24250 code, and you'll be allowed entry into this poll. And like I said, this is the first question. We're going to do a couple of these just to get a sense of who we're working with here. Who's cold? I have to ask. That's. I don't know where you are in South Africa. I'm actually in Gqeberha, what used to be called Port Elizabeth. Still a bit confusing on this side in the Eastern Cape, but no, it's definitely warm here today. So whoever's cold, I feel for you.
No, we're in Cape Town and it's increasingly getting cooler. It seems like we're having a cold front moving in with lots of rain expected for the rest of the week. So I think we're grateful as well, seeing as though we had 2 very hot days.
Yep. No, if there's one thing I've learned, especially in the Eastern Cape, is you're never allowed to complain about rain.
True.
Okay, cool. It looks like we've got a couple good responses here. Good responses. Excuse the pun, but great to see that everyone or nearly everyone is doing awesome, good, energetic, well. Let's
There's
move on
a cold
to the next
there.
question.
Did you see?
I saw the cold. I'm trying to ignore the cold. Shame. I'm sorry for you. All right. The next question that I'd like to ask is, what is your title? Let's get a sense of, who's in the room and, what roles we're playing with. Okay, I see we've got our first CFO. I guess that goes without saying. A CFO, a finance manager. We've got another. Oh, we might have to get back into the chat to find out who our others are. Finance managers, CFOs. Good to see the accountants in the room. My favorite professionals to work with. Sorry, Cerize. I'm joking. Actually, it would be
None taken.
company secretaries, and then accountants.
You're just
I did
saying
work
that
in the
now to
company
cover
sector.
yourself.
Well, it'll be evident in this webinar why I love working with company secretaries. It's really what's brought us here today to talk about how we tackle these challenges together. So cool. Some more accountants, more others. No company secretaries. I guess the company secretaries don't get to join the webinars series.
No lawyers either.
No lawyers either.
I'm disappointed.
You're disappointed. I'm quite happy about
Definitely.
that one.
Why you don't want to 4 different opinions on the same subject?
Exactly. Well said. Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Those are some good responses there. Good to see that we've got who we've got in the room here. I'm so curious about the others now. Let us know in the chat if we missed your title and if you'd like to share that with us. The next question I'd like to ask is, what is your biggest company secretarial pain point? And this is actually a ranking. So we've got a couple here. We've got filing annual returns, and I've just included the compliance checklist in there, since that's kind of the transaction where we have to get all of that information together. We've got creating and maintaining share registers and certificates, our bread and butter. What we at InfoDocs, work really hard to make very simple and easy. Drafting minutes and resolutions. Another one that we use our automatically generated templates to make simpler and easier. Cerize has some awesome feedback for us in this webinar about our minutes and resolutions. We've been discussing all of these features in the build up to this webinar, and then collecting votes and signatures in practice. And I especially know this speaking to the secretaries, who are usually the ones who are having to collect the votes and signatures. That can be a real pain point. I don't know, Cerize, how would you rank these in your field?
For me, filing annual returns, I would definitely put as a top, just because of the amounts that needs to be done, and actually explaining to clients the difference between audited and being independently reviewed. I found a lot that there's a bit of a misconception with preparing annual financial statements and not necessarily knowing the actual dynamic around it, being independently reviewed, being requested to be audited, or being compelled to be audited. All of those definitely do have an impact. And drafting resolutions, but drafting resolutions to me is definitely, that's my work. But what makes it difficult is not having knowledge of the Companies Act and the regulations to it. So it will get tricky and sticky in that sense. So definitely those, but with InfoDocs, creating share registers and certificates, it's an easy process. That's good to hear. Okay, cool. This is some really interesting statistics we see here, but it's annual returns at the top and compliance checklist as part of that. I guess we shouldn't be surprised. That's why we're here today, to talk about our creative solutions to the compliance checklist. So thank you everyone for answering. That's really valuable information. I've got 2 more questions for you. This one is, how does company secretarial fall within your job? This would just help us gauge whether company secretarial is at the forefront, something that is your main concern, not your concern, the least of your responsibilities. I love that answer, by the way. Least of my responsibilities, but I have to do it. Outsourced and oversee it. That's a really good one. Cerize, that could be a client of yours. Who knows? We'll see. Okay, cool. So that's what I expected. That is definitely the answer I thought would come out on top. Interesting. Good, especially because we have more CFOs here, so it does make a lot of sense that is our final result. Yes, we did design this webinar for CFOs or the CFO community. We figured that a top level discussion with some deep dives into some of the more legal sides of things would be kind of the best fit for this type of audience. So cool. This is what we expected, and very cool to see. I'm glad that we do have some who see company secretarial as central to their role and responsibilities. Very cool to see that.
you guys are going to love me the most. It's usually those people who enjoy and get the most benefit out of InfoDocs. So I'm very excited to speak to those people in particular. And for those who are simply overseeing or who simply need to get it done, but it's the least of their responsibilities, there's a lot of value to be found in using a platform like InfoDocs to automate as much of it as possible and just standardize and digitize all of the company secretarial records. Cool.
Right.
There are our responses. Really, really interesting to look at this. Let's move on to the last one here, which is rate how easy it is for you to assure statutory compliance to your clients or company. So if you are an accountant or someone who is being outsourced to do this work for client companies, how easy is it for you to assure those clients that you can keep them statutory compliant? And likewise, for those working within organizations, within companies, how confident are you that you can make sure that company is statutory compliant? How confident are you that you can assure that company is statutory compliant? Really, really great question there.
Which is a very interesting question also. And look at it, how it moves. I mean, it's very interesting.
Yeah. I saw that first 5 come in and I went, oh,
wow,
we're speaking,
amazing. We need to swap
the
we need to swap it around.
Okay, perfect. That's evening
Right.
out a little.
That's quite interesting there,
where
Josh. I think they've been fairly consistent. I can see it's quite interesting to kind of note the jumps as they come through.
Yeah. It's funny. It's usually the first people to answer who are the most confident as well. And actually, it's probably that same CFO who we saw in the last question. So I'm glad to have that person on the call. I'd love to speak to them, pick their brain. They seem to know what they're doing.
Definitely.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you very much for engaging with us, everyone. This is really interesting data to look at and for us to just gauge who and who we're speaking to and what your particular pain points are. I'm going to hand it over to Cerize now to just chat a little around the origin story and to speak to this problem that arose, this compliance nightmare that the CIPC dropped on us, and how her and I collaborated, engaged, partnered to create what we're really quite proud of as being the simplest and the best solution on the market for the compliance checklist. Cerize.
Great. Thank you so much, Joshua. And it's so nice to see everyone as part of this webinar. It's great to engage, especially in this COVID environment that we find ourselves in. It's great to still be able to actually do this and still interact with one another. So I suppose for me to just start off, just a little bit of a background. I'm just going to give a little bit of info on how we partnered with InfoDocs, why, and what our need was. So what is our partnership origin story? So as I mentioned, Creative CFO, the company I work for, has a vision of a world where SMEs succeed. That is our main purpose. So based on this very simple principle, the need came about for Creative CFO, and as we started growing, we realized that our clients were less informed around the actual admin side of owning a business, having a company and understanding everything that goes around with it. So ultimately, what we as Creative CFO wanted to achieve was to get our clients investment ready. So my mandate was to find a program that interlinks with our Creative CFO systems. Now we use cloud-based, automated, simplified programs. And the whole idea was just to get a program that will fit in with our world-class professional profile. So we approached InfoDocs as we were intrigued with the fact that they were cloud-based and the offering which they provided in a world where Secretarial is basically paper-based. So we specifically respected their personal touch and their willingness to listen and to actually tailor-make and develop with us this compliance checklist to make it easier for our clients. As mentioned, smaller SMEs clients, yes, we do have a larger, big client group as well, But for the majority of it, when CIPC surprised us all with this checklist, all they provided was 24 sections out of the Companies Act and expected us to fill them in without giving context around it. So what was the context around it? To our clients, please read the Companies Act to understand, which it isn't ideal. So initially, CIPC first said that it applies to all companies. It has subsequently been changed that it's only for independently reviewed and audited companies. As part of our process with InfoDocs and migrating all of our clients onto the InfoDocs platform, we have actually engaged with our clients to fill in those compliance checklists to inform them of the importance of all of those sections within the Companies Act. So by doing so, it allowed us to get the information we needed to really peruse their MOIs, should they have customized MOIs, provide them with guidelines on how an per annum structure should look, as well as just giving a little bit more context as to the reason why CIPC actually launched this. As everyone kind of felt that it's just another checklist, which yes, it was, but in principle, I believe CIPC had the vision to teach directors, shareholders, even management of a company to understand the actual Companies Act, to understand the reason for opening up a company. And I'm talking about NPCs, I'm talking about public companies, I'm talking about closed corporations, all of those enlisted into that. So how do we use InfoDocs? We use it a little bit different. We use it on a client and agent-based relationship. So we charge our clients a monthly retainer, which is a company secretarial retainer, where we include a few free ad hoc services per year and then filing of their annual return, as well as access to InfoDocs. So no more yearly composite fees or retaining of company documents, as everything is available on InfoDocs. So Creative CFO, as mentioned, we engage in a basis of a client and agent relationship. And then by doing so, we can inform our clients of the necessary compliance with the Companies Act and the regulations there too. So what do we love about InfoDocs? One of the key attractions of InfoDocs was that it was integrated with the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission. So if you go onto InfoDocs and you upload a company, all of the information is already pre-populated onto your profile, save for your shareholding. This is a great tool for us, giving us direct access to information such as an income tax number without actually having to go onto CIPC and requesting a disclosure certificate to get that information. What we also loved about InfoDocs, or still love about InfoDocs, is the fact that there's a universal format, a standardized share certificate and a look and feel to it. And it's extremely easy to maintain share registers and share certificates on that basis. What InfoDocs also provides is access to Word templates. It also pre-populates templates as you enter transactions into the program, which is great. So what do we still need from InfoDocs? As mentioned, each company has their own transactions and different sections of the Companies Act needs to be considered when preparing resolutions. Now, the template function with InfoDocs works absolutely great, but you also require overall knowledge and practical application, especially in the sense how we work with InfoDocs on an agent and client relationship. And that specifically would apply to customized MOIs, shareholder agreements, or fundamental transactions in that sense. So a few matters that still needs to be considered is, as mentioned, consideration of restrictions imposed with customized MOIs, compliance with the takeover regulation panel, one that is often missing, the responsibility of the board to pass solvency and liquidity test for the following 12 months, and when Section 4 needs to be applied to certain transactions. The buyback of shares in excess of 5%, ensuring compliance that the independent expert report is referred and prepared as part of the transaction. Fundamental transactions and compliance and the related sections within the Companies Act to be complied with. So these are just a few to name, just over and above where you need a little bit more insight into the norm. But yeah, for the most of it, what do we still need to discover? I don't know, Joshua, perhaps you can tell me what else you're going to bring out to blow my mind.
Okay, so thank you so much, Cerize. I think you know that little introduction there is a stellar example of exactly why I love working with you. As you can see, you know, we've got these really smart customers, these professionals who have vastly more experience and knowledge than us, and it's working with them, getting their input, you know, learning from their experience. That's how we've managed to, you know, put together this small team of developers and designers and build a company secretarial software that could potentially service the whole South African market. So thank you so much for that introduction and highlighting some of those. There's one or two things I really want to highlight in what you said there. And the first one, I just have to make sure, was that a compliment I heard for the CIPC? Did you compliment the CIPC? I don't know if that is there any. Did everyone in the audience also hear that? Was that
yes,
yeah.
I did. I did.
I heard it, Josh. Loud and clear.
Actually,
CIPC compliment came through.
Yeah, exactly. I think,
please refer it to the commissioner.
Right?
Give him my name and surname, please.
Honestly, I hope they are in the audience because literally the word vision and CIPC in the same sentence. I think that's really cool. And you know what, from my side, and I say this quite often, especially when I'm dealing with or talking with a customer who is having an issue with CIPC, I tell them every time, listen, I sympathize or I empathize with CIPC. You know, they've got this mandate to do exactly what we're doing, but on a much bigger scale and to the whole market. CIPC are trying to service the whole market, and in our relationship with CIPC, we've got a very positive relationship because they know that what we are trying to do is help them with that mandate. InfoDocs is just another layer on top of CIPC to help you get your docs in order before you submit them, right? And to help them fulfill their mandate of making companies more compliant. The second thing that I really wanted to highlight from what you said there, and this is a compliment to you, Cerize, is when that checklist came in, everyone panicked. It was like, how are we going to offer this same basic, you know, tick box service of an annual return when now we're going to have to go and sift through 36 pages. So it was 24 sections, but it was 36 pages of legislation at the top of the checklist on CIPC. It was like, here's
depending on the option chosen.
Yeah, here's the how-to. I can't tell you, I was so excited when I saw a how-to like PDF attached to this checklist. I thought, wow, this is going to be such a valuable piece of content. The CIPC are, exactly like you said, trying to educate directors and company secretaries and managers about these responsibilities. This document has the answers, and I downloaded it, and it was just copy paste extracts from the Companies Act. It was 36 pages of legislation. And so I saw that, and that was in like, what was it? It was like September, November of 2019, 2018, somewhere there.
19.
Yeah, and I remember thinking, there's got to be a better way to do this. There's got to be, you know, and I thought, you know, what do I know about this? You know, I'm not a lawyer. I'm hardly a company secretary. In fact, the only time I call myself a company secretary is when I usually refer to myself as a company secretarial ninja. But really, you know, it's the real professionals that I needed to call in on that one. And it was Cerize that I called and said, hey, we've got this idea to turn that compliance checklist where it says, do you comply with section 4? Yes, no, not applicable. Read the act if you don't understand. How do we turn that question into something that the average person, the layman like me, can read and understand and answer?
Yeah.
And perhaps learn something along the way. All right. So that's it.
Well, this compliance checklist, sorry to interrupt you, but just stemming from that, I had a company who were not aware of the fact that they had to have AGMs. It was such a small clause within their customized MOI, but they didn't mention, they didn't note it as an AGM. They called it a yearly meeting, which it's basically just a difference in description of the actual same thing. And by filling in the checklist and actually looking at their MOI, they realized that they had to comply with those provisions. And for them, it was amazing because their MOI exactly told them how it should be done, when it should be done. And all of a sudden, their flow for the year just got so much easier. So it definitely, that's why I'm saying, I believe CIPC really tried to do something good here. Perhaps overcomplicating it a little bit. But the way we interpreted the compliance checklist and working together and putting in the answers based on the Companies Act really took it to the next level.
And that was really, compliments to you, Cerize. You were extremely proactive about this. You were extremely eager to engage on, a way to make it easier. But I remember you telling me this is an opportunity for us to find out from our customers exactly where they are. I mean, I remember when they switched or they backstepped and said, all right, it's not for everyone, it's only for those who have audits and independent reviews. You said to me, I still want every client to fill this out, right? Exactly. We've made it simple and easy enough for them to use.
To understand.
And we'll look at that now. But for those who don't require, who it isn't required for, let's call it a company health check. A company health check. Let's make sure that we're ticking all these boxes, because really, as you found in your experience, clients or companies simply don't know what is required of them.
Or performing transactions throughout the year and forgetting to either do the necessary or something along those lines. And it really has helped us tremendously, requesting our clients to carry on with this.
Exactly. Okay, so I was doing a little demo there in the background as you were speaking. It was, I couldn't help myself, just speaking about what InfoDocs does and how it looks. We can circle back to that at the end, but really what I'd like to show you today, it's what we're talking about. It's the compliance checklist, and this is available on our public website, infodocs.coza. We actually, after you and I engaged on this and collaborated on building this compliance checklist, we built a custom version for Creative CFO, and this is now the public version. It's a free online guide to the CIPC Compliance Checklist. So anyone in the audience, please feel free to go and test it. It doesn't go anywhere. It simply produces a report, as I will demonstrate now. Which you can download. So this is our CIPC Compliance Checklist, the free online guide. We have a little summary explaining how this pertains to certain companies. And when you're ready, you can go ahead and click begin. I'm just going to type in some details so that I can get to the second page with all the answers. Cerize, how many people do you know that can say they know their company registration number off by heart?
Not a lot.
I'm so proud of being able to remember that one. Actually, I'd have to type it into.
Yours isn't difficult.
No, it's a good one.
First question, which always is a difficult one, and I'm sure a lot of the accounting firms would agree with me, is did the company perform a solvency and liquidity test? Is a different question as to, is the company solvent and liquid? Yes. We get this a lot. This is the one question that comes back a lot of the time that is filled in incorrectly. It actually goes, the question actually asks, did the company apply the test? And there's circumstances in which they could apply the test. Now, if you go yes, it starts to ask you these simple questions on how we determine actually whether it is compliant or not. Now, further down on this checklist, there's 2 more sections, just for argument's sake, Section 44 and Section 45 of the Companies Act, where you also need to pass the solvency and liquidity test. If you say yes up top and no here, the program will automatically know that the one should have been done, and it will automatically come through on your report to indicate the reason why it came through as a no. Now, CIPC asks you to put in a reason. You can actually provide that reason, which is amazing. Sorry, Joshua, I completely interrupted you.
I knew this was going to happen. I was expecting it. I couldn't wait. Exactly as Cerize has explained, you know, there's logic behind this questionnaire. It's asking, did you perform a test? And if no, we ask both up here and further down, as she mentioned, whether you completed a transaction that we know requires a solvency and liquidity test. So did the company issue dividends or offer cash payments in lieu of capitalization shares? If you did issue dividends and you didn't perform a solvency and liquidity test, you are technically non-compliant with Section 4. And that is how this whole checklist works. Rather than going through all of it, because it does get a little detailed, and I have a feeling we would just do deep dives into every question if we went that route. I have actually filled one out, and Cerize will be very happy to know that I purposefully tried to get all of them wrong and succeeded in doing so. So it's all either not applicable or non-compliant. And this is the CIPC version, by the way. The CIPC version asks you, did you comply with the sections? There's no title or description either. You need to know what those sections are in order to fill this out. And those are your options, yes, no, or not applicable. You can add a reason, but I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't know if you've tried that one, Cerize, but I don't think they accept that as a reason. I don't know.
It pulls through eventually. If you just open up the report so that they can see what it looks like, because it looks a bit, and what's nice is you can always download this and send it back to your clients, and for the following year they can have a look at it again and ensure that everything either stems, well, it is the same if nothing changed, or ensure that the correct compliance is applied where necessary.
Just as a side note there, Cerize, I'm going to be slipping this one into the PDF template library. So for any companies on InfoDocs that do complete a compliance checklist, you'll be able to find it later in their documents tab. We do a lot of auto saving with company secretarial documents because uploading and transferring and all of that is just another piece of admin. So you'll find a lot of these types of documents automatically saved. In fact, sorry, if you add a company on InfoDocs, this is one of my favorite features. If you add a company to InfoDocs and then go to the template library, go to PDF templates, you will find templates right from the incorporation of that company, right from the incorporation minutes of the directors meeting to consent to act as directors for each appointment, resignation letters for each resignation. It's like, and this is the reality. We are often retroactively creating these company records.
It's a complete minute book, and that is why we love InfoDocs. It is really a complete minute book. No more wanting, or no more having your big red books and carrying them around and cutting out minutes and sticking and pasting them in there. It's an automated cloud-based product, which works amazing. As Joshua mentioned, you appoint a director, the consent to act immediately pulls through with all the correct information as it is uploaded with CIPC. And that's the great thing about it is someone can come back and say, but my address is incorrect. And you can say, but this is the information provided to CIPC. We need to then ensure that it is amended throughout the board. So that it really is an amazing function in that sense. And it's simple things like CIPC doesn't request you to provide the consent to act as director when appointing directors, but the Companies Act do. And that's what I mentioned earlier is the compliance with Companies Act and compliance with CIPC and compliance with the actual regulations all together. This is one program that puts it together. If you are not aware of the fact that a consent to act as director needs to be prepared, or that a director appointment can only be approved in terms of Section 68(1) of the Companies Act by the security holders of the company, which means a special resolution.
I knew you were going to go there. I knew you were going to go there.
It's not a requirement from CIPC side, but it is a requirement in terms of the Companies Act. And that's important. If you're not aware of it, you are appointing directors on CIPC, which is technically in contravention with the Companies Act.
Yeah. There's a big difference between elections and appointments.
Yeah, it's a big conversation around it. I've actually had this before where CIPC mentioned that the fact that they say minutes of the meeting is a broad term and could relate to board and special resolutions. So it's in their defense, it's not it's not necessarily incorrect. It's just there might be a little bit more attention to detail in certain circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the record, when you appoint a director through InfoDocs, so like Cerize mentioned earlier, we're integrated with CIPC so that whenever you want to make a change to the company, you can submit that change through InfoDocs and get all of your supporting documents generated automatically as part of that. My all-time favorite email that we send out is a document request email for a Core 39, which is a director change. It's this really cool email that says, this is an automated email for the director change for this company on this date. Below are your supporting documents. Please, get them signed and send them to, this address at CIPC. And as part of that, we automatically default to a special resolution. We've got the information. We can, pre-populate the signature blocks for the shareholders because we have your shareholder information stored within InfoDocs. And actually, that's another thing. And we've had this discussion, Cerize, around why CIPC went that route. They simply don't know who the shareholders are of these companies. So to have a resolution signed by unknown persons in the company, I mean, as part of submitting a director change with a special resolution, we also provide the share register for them to refer to. But that's what they're relying on. They're relying on a resolution signed by a bunch of unknown persons with a document that says these unknown persons are the owners of the company. And so again,
I actually have been requesting that information lately. I've seen it more and more. Yeah.
And I hope they're keeping it on file, because knowing who the beneficial shareholders are of these companies is really there's a gap there. There's a gap in the mandate.
It's not like Companies House, for argument's sake.
No, it's not at all. And I'll get to Companies House later when we get to our panel discussion. Okay, so this is our checklist report. Like I said, I did my damn best to make sure I got all the answers wrong so that we could see all of these reasons pulling through. I see we're missing one here, which I'm going to go and add right after this webinar: access to company records. That answer in particular was, did the company receive any requests to access the company records? The answer was yes, and the follow-up question is, did the company make those records available within a reasonable amount of time? And the answer to that was obviously no. So that's what that reason should be. The company received a request and did not meet that request. But this is the type of report that you can generate. Again, it's a free tool. Feel free to go to our website, have a look. You'll also notice a little company search tool on the homepage here. Take a look, see how our CIPC integration works, and go ahead and produce yourself one of these awesome reports. The next thing that I'm going to do, I'm very excited about. It's half the reason I'm excited for this webinar, is to actually present some data from the 500 plus compliance checklists that have been submitted via InfoDocs. Cerize hasn't seen this data yet. We were talking about it earlier this morning. I asked her to guess what the like most frequently failed sections, if I can call them that, the most commonly non-compliant sections of this checklist might be. Cerize, can you give us perhaps your top three, what those top three might be? I'm going to write them down.
Section 4.
Section 4, okay.
Section
Solvency, liquidity.
30.
30, what's 30 here? Annual financial statements. There we go.
Annual financial statements completed within 6 months.
Yeah.
And then 33, I would also list.
You reckon? And okay, all right. But okay, that's a good one.
That's three.
Yeah. In reality, I would also bank on section 33. The company failed to file an annual return. Although for the people who are filing compliance checklists with us, this is going to be an unfair test, because the compliance checklist within the app, within InfoDocs, when you're logged in and you're filing an annual return through InfoDocs, the compliance checklist is actually included in that process. And what's more, we use all of the data that we have on the company, the share register.
So it automatically pulls through as a no.
We automatically populate these answers for you. So we can see there's more than one director in the company. We can see that the address was changed and it was done through InfoDocs. So yes, a change was submitted to CIPC. So we pre-populate those answers for you just to make the checklist.
Okay, so quicker. I'll pick a different one then. 71.
Okay. 71. Okay, very good. Removal of directors. Now that one we can both attest to. All right. Okay. So here's the data. It's a big spreadsheet here. I've just highlighted all the yeses. Good to see.
Where's the easy questions? Green. My goodness.
Well, the non-applicables are pretty good, applying to most companies who haven't removed directors, for example. So again, this one is not going to work in your favor. Most people are not removing directors. But there are some.
For me, it's more a misconception of not understanding the difference between a removal and a resignation.
That's absolutely true. But we did work quite hard to word it.
To explain, yeah.
Yes,
true.
Yes, yeah. In fact, in InfoDocs, whenever someone selects remove a director, there's a little notice that says, please note, there's a big difference. Or it doesn't say there's a big difference. It says there's a difference between resignations and removals.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
cool.
What are we looking at? Section 4?
Here's the summary, right? Here's the summary. So we've got our sections down this column here, the number of yeses, the number of not applicables, and the number of no's. And here in our little graph, we've got them ranked in order of the most number of no's. Section 30, you are absolutely right. Annual financial statements is our biggest, our most non-compliant section of the Companies Act. And exactly like you say, I agree. I think it's because of a lack of understanding.
Section 50 is very interesting.
It is, isn't it? It is, because section 50 is share registers, right? Did
Correct.
the company create?
Does your company retain a company share register? Sorry, I'm
talking. No, exactly. This is cool. I've been so excited to share this data with you. I'll send you this information afterwards. And for anyone else who would like access to this report, get in touch with me after the thing. I'd be happy to share this. We've anonymized everything, so it's not tied to anyone's personal information. But yeah, really, really interesting data that we're looking at here. Any others that stand out to you? There's your third. Oh wow, that is your third option, and it's the annual return. I'm sorry, I talked you out of that one, but wow, even the people who are submitting annual returns with us and using our free online tool are not getting to file their annual returns. That's crazy. Wow. Okay, very cool. All right, so that was where I wanted to end off with this presentation of the data. We are a couple minutes before 12, so let's start to wrap things up. I'm just going to leave this screen open in the meantime. But Brian, can we jump into a Q&A if there are any questions from the audience? Let's have a quick panel discussion.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Joshua and Cerize. You know, I'm actually very overwhelmed already. I feel like, wow, there's so much stuff out there that I had no clue how it works. But I'm sure some of our audiences as well feel the same. So there's no better time for you to get into the chat, post some questions if you have for Joshua and Cerize, anything specific to what they've spoken about, anything on how to get through to additional information or Cerize experiences will be definitely useful. But just to kind of I was, as you were talking, guys, and specifically Cerize, we might even need another webinar just to talk about some of the the pain points that do exist in the process. But just talking to pain points, Josh, if I can, while we wait on the audience to warm up, if they have any questions, perhaps you could, as we just elaborate on the pain points. You tell us a bit more about, just how Poppy, for example, affects the integration with CIPC is one question that perhaps we can discuss now.
Sure. So let me split those two and just go back to the pain points, and then I'll answer the Poppy and the CIPC integration. They're a really, really interesting topic. In terms of the pain points, this data really highlights it for us, right? So annual financial statements and the requirements around that, and when to get them done and which is applicable. That is a really tough one for companies out there. We launched a tool not so long ago. I don't think we made a big deal about it. It was just a little thing that we added. Cerize probably hasn't even noticed it yet, but there's a calculate audit requirement which we've included as part of the annual return process. It's a couple questions. It gathers your public interest score, which if you don't know that, you can calculate that as part of the tool as well. So you calculate your public interest score. It asks you whether the company is owner managed, whether the memorandum requires an audit, et cetera, and uses that information to let you know which annual return process is required, and which annual financial statements process you need to follow. So that's a really tough pain point for people. Again, solvency and liquidity tests, I think those pertain particularly to the transactions where they're required. So the issuing of dividends is a good one. I was chatting to a professional the other day who was issuing dividends or had already issued dividends and was then chatting to us about it and realized, oh, wait, isn't that a company secretarial transaction? Aren't there resolutions that are required? Aren't there tests that I need to run? And we said, yes, you need to go through this process. Dividends is one of those features that I've been dreaming about, by the way, Cerize. I don't know, it's never been a request from your side, but we can do a lot of really great stuff with dividends, especially for the holding companies. We have a lot of holding companies who get a lot of value out of InfoDocs. But yeah, so annual financial statements, solvency and liquidity tests. That third one there is the share registers. So share registers are a big pain point. It's hard to know where to start. We're actually going to write a blog article quite soon where we make a free template available for share registers. For anyone who isn't willing to actually sign up for InfoDocs using the free trial and create their own share register, which you can do for free, by the way. For anyone who wants to stick to their Excel and their Word or whatever, we're going to make a template available because just that template will give you the framework to make that a bit easier. And I could run down this list, right? Annual returns, director changes, appointment of auditors is somewhere up there. There's a bunch of them in there that are really painful for companies in South Africa. And then to answer your second question about the how Poppy will affect the integration with CIPC, it's a great question. Our integration with CIPC is really quite exclusive. There are no other company secretarial softwares that can claim to be integrated with CIPC. Certainly no one else who is able to allow you to file annual returns or automatically update your information. So if, for example, an address changes on CIPC, InfoDocs picks that up and automatically updates the company on InfoDocs. There's a sync happening between the two.
Which is amazing because, sorry, I'm going to completely interrupt you now. If you do this manually, you will need, as company secretarial agent, company secretary, management, whoever you are taking care of the company, you literally have to sit and update the information on whatever program you use. If it's a secretarial platform or if it's an Excel spreadsheet, you will have to physically update that. With InfoDocs, you press sync and it just updates. It's amazing.
Yeah. Thanks, Cerize. Thank you very much. So yeah, and we've got it working. It works really well. The POPI Act is going to affect it specifically for directors and specifically for their personal information, which CIPC currently makes available to us. So ID numbers, for example, are something that that we're able to gain access to when there is an application. With the introduction of POPI, CIPC will be protecting, information such as the ID number, and that information is crucial for the official register, for certain secretarial documents, for appointments, consent to acts, etc. And actually, Brian, we see the introduction of POPI as a really big opportunity, not just for InfoDocs, but kind of for the whole government, the whole government database, really. For InfoDocs, it's an opportunity because it's going to allow us or give us the opportunity to actually engage with the data subject. The protection of personal information is there to, really to make sure that the people who are storing and processing personal information have consent from the individual. And so it's going to force us and give us the opportunity to actually engage with that individual, the directors, the shareholders, the various stakeholders, to grant the accountant or the professional or whoever it is using InfoDocs to manage this company, to grant them consent and give us access to not just their personal information, but also their most up-to-date information. Cerize, was it you who was telling me that sometimes you get clients who you add their company to InfoDocs, you pull the registers, you send them the document, and they turn around and they go, what address is this that they've got
Correct.
on my directorship?
Correct.
Yeah, I've never lived there before. And the reality is that happens all the time.
It does, because but the e-services portal was established. It was very much a manual process. And human error, unfortunately, was made a lot. So if you put in a director's address as 15 Tree Street, and it should have been 25 or something along those lines, CIPC would have imported that information exactly as it is given to them, or quite possibly made a mistake while actually filtering that information. So I see we do have a question in the chat box.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Cerize, and perhaps it even touches on some of the things that you said, and Kaylin had said that what kind of data is revealed and how can companies put this to use? And as I think about this question, Cerize, maybe you can address it from your experience perspective, right? Like, what time have you saved and what have you eliminated? Look at your before InfoDocs time and to now. So what are some of those quantifiable things that you're able to say, well, I've saved on this, this is the valuable data that I now have because of going through this process?
Yeah, I think, Joshua, you need to jump in and help me here. So, Kaylin, just going to your question, it's very overwhelming. Yes, it is. We understand the various pain points, but how does this translate into valuable data for companies? It actually informs the company on where they are lacking. It informs the company on the admin side, which no one likes to do. It also informs the company more compliance with the Companies Act. Now, you acting as whatever your designation is, it will allow you to see and to have a look at the Companies Act and to start. There's a few points that you always need to keep in mind when looking at different transactions and looking at different information being received. And if I can give a little piece of information in that sense, it only comes with help and with time and with listening to webinars like these, and a lot of reading up. The Companies Act is extremely broad. It's as mentioned, if you do an issue of a share to a new shareholder, for argument's sake, You have a customized MOI. So what's the first thing you check? You go back to your founding documents. You go to your MOI. Is it a standard MOI? Is it a customized MOI? What are the requirements in terms of the Companies Act? Now, Section 39(2) is a natural preemptive right on all shareholders of the company when shares are issued. So that's your first point. Second point, go have a look at what the MOI states. Standard form reiterates what the Companies Act says, and a customized MOI will tell you how to deal when transactions as such arose. When preparing your special resolution, what we found is, and what we've done a lot was kind of doing a little bit of a tick box approach with certain things. And it could be very useful for you, for argument, as I just explained. Follow those 3 steps. What is your next step? Are these shares being issued to a director? Is the company providing money to the director to actually acquire the shares? So now we've triggered 2 more sections in the Companies Act. One, he is a director, which is the Section 41A of the Companies Act, A and B. The company has provided financial assistance for him to get his shares. That's Section 45. Together with Section 45, you need to ensure that Section 4 of the Companies Act is also passed. You see, so you need to establish all of these different tick box approaches. So when you prepare your templates and when you do engage in something like InfoDocs, the templates are pre-populated in the sense of highlighting these different scenarios. The program can see that the person who receives the shares is a director of the company and will automatically pull up that section to your resolution. I know I'm going a little bit off point and just naming a whole bunch of sections of the Companies Act, but that's the way how I started understanding the Act and understanding how to prepare your resolutions. Ultimately, it needs to be a story that you're telling, and that's the whole point of preparing resolutions. Okay, and then your next question: what kind of data is revealed, and how can companies put this to use? Joshua, I think you can jump in there.
Sure. Look, like Cerize said, there is a lot to stomach here and to digest. I think a really great next step is to find the right person in the organization to answer these questions in the compliance checklist, to send them to the InfoDocs website, have them fill out this checklist, get the report, take a look at the report. If there are any no's in here, you'll see the reasons why. Hopefully by the time you do that, I've added this reason for access to company records. But really, this is the kind of data that can be revealed, in a very easy next step. One of the questions that I was anticipating today was, what's next for InfoDocs, and I'm nervous to answer it in front of Cerize. She's been requesting, as you heard a bit earlier, more logic in the templates, certain customizations around the MOI for particular companies. Lots of different things. We know we've got a lot of work to do, but one of the things that, and your question speaks to this, Kelly, is, just adding more educational information, content. We've got a help desk that currently walks you through the process of how to do all these things on InfoDocs. We want to bolster that up with, more educational content around what are the actual requirements, what sections of the Companies Act come into effect, and exactly how Cerize explained a couple of those examples, the tick box approach. Is it a this, is it a that, and these sections apply, and we need to make sure that we have these documents. There's actually a really cool, and sorry to go a bit nerdy here, there's a really cool, it's called a Git Choose Your Own Adventure article. Git is this technology that almost all dev teams use to keep track of changes to the code. And it's this article's around how do I fix a mistake that I made? And Git is so big that what mistake did you make? Depending on the mistake, various different answers. So it's an article where it says, what did you do? And you click the answer, yes, I did this. And then it takes you to the relevant section. It says, okay, yeah, you did this. Did you then do this? No, I didn't do that. Okay, all right. Well, then this is what you need to do. That's the type of this is my next pet project, by the way, Cerize, like a company secretarial, choose your own adventure. And we'll look at something
Soon
like
you're
that.
going to put a lot of us out of work.
No. This is exactly as we've seen in other industries. These are just tools to empower the professional to move more into the advisory role. This is about getting admin off your desk and getting you into the boardroom in front of the clients, walking them through this process. Trust me, I've tried to sell InfoDocs to business owners. They do not want to touch this. You will always be in business because this is not something that they want to take responsibility for. I see we have
I want to quickly
another
address,
question,
yes. So how do we address AR final deregistrations? Unfortunately, with a AR final deregistration, it's a manual application to CIPC. It's quite a lengthy process. You fill in a form called a Core 40.5 and you send it to reinstatements at CIPC or something along those lines. Your next question is, will it still matter to submit a compliance checklist? So what happens is, if you have actually been AR final deregistered, CIPC won't allow you to submit any compliance checklists. You will have to make that company correct in order to be able to file those. Now, we get a lot of these questions. I'm not using the company. Please just leave it. Why do I have to pay annual returns? I'm not using it in any way. It's a dormant company. Now, you can look at it in two ways. Either you comply with the Companies Act or you are in contravention with the Companies Act. It's as simple as that. By not paying your annual return and getting your company deregistered, you are in contravention of the Companies Act. So that's just something to keep in mind. Great.
Okay. Cool. Should we wrap it up there? My last little plug, Brian, is just Cerize and I have started this company secretaries ZA group on LinkedIn, pending her accepting my invite, I think.
I'm sorry, I still have to find my password.
Yes, exactly. But we've started this group to move these conversations that her and I and other company secretaries have been having behind closed doors around very rare scenarios, very common situations, all the different pain points surrounding company secretarial work, to move them into a public space where company secretaries can help one another, the experience can be shared, and we can just start to create a community of kind of self-helping company secretaries and professionals. So if you would like to join that group, search for us on LinkedIn, search for me or InfoDocs. I'm sure you'll find your way here, but really a great resource for any professionals in the audience who have some more burning questions to ask in a space where some professionals with some really great experience can chip in and help you there. Otherwise, that's it from my side. Brian?
So, Josh, before I let you go, just if you can give us perhaps 2 pointers. What do you expect to do to get involved with InfoDocs? How does one get started? I think I saw that coming up, and I'm getting questions on that as well.
Cool.
We're going to cover it. So, just quickly, what are your recommendations
Sure. If you want to try out InfoDocs, we offer a free trial. It actually never ends. So if you are either a business owner managing your own company, feel free to sign up for the free trial, create your free share register. We offer BE affidavits, lots of minutes and resolutions. There's a lot to discover in InfoDocs. In fact, we've just launched an email series, 31-minute emails in 30 days from when you sign up to InfoDocs. That'll just teach you everything you need to know about InfoDocs, everything you can get out of it. So sign up for a free trial, go to the website infodocs.co.za, sign up for that free trial, and you will discover all that there is to know and love about InfoDocs. If you would like a guided tour or have some questions, as we often get from the professionals, and it's a great opportunity for us to get to meet you and engage with you as well, head over to the website and schedule a demo. And we will be happy to show you all the bells and whistles behind the application. It's a 30-minute demo. It's all online. It's really quite easy. And it's just part of the beauty of being cloud-based, really. Everything kind of works. So go to infodocs.co.za, sign up for the free trial, schedule a demo. If you'd like to engage with me personally, my email address is here on the screen. It's josh@infodocs.co.za. There's also my phone number. Feel free to give me a call. I love chatting to professionals about company secretarial, as I said at the beginning.
Awesome,
it really
awesome.
does.
Thank you for that, Josh. Cerize, any parting words from you? What would you tell people out there that are looking to kind of get involved or know more about a CIPC or the compliance checklist? Closing remarks from you, Cerize?
Thank you. Thank you so much for everyone who joined in this meeting. I know it's sometimes very overwhelming to just listen to someone mentioning a few sections out of the Companies Act and trying to make it as simple as possible when you don't really understand what the person is saying. So I really appreciated that everyone was engaged in this. From our side, as mentioned, Creative CFO is more of an agent relationship, secretarial-based company. We have a wide variety of clients. You're welcome to have a look at our website. We do things a little bit different in the sense of you can buy products off our website. But without promoting Creative CFO, it speaks for itself. Just from my side, I really would like to encourage everyone, if you are in this position, if you are a company secretarial agent, if you are just doing it because you have to, read up. It really helps to just broaden your vision around these things. And by really reading, you'll find the answers. And it will really open up your mind. CIPC also has a lot of FAQ questions, although they're not always very explanatory. It does give you a guide, and it's good to have that as a starting point. It is an admin-driven world we live in, and that's why Joshua and I kind of partnered to make this just more easier. Less paper-based. To everyone sitting in the audience, I don't use one paper, not one.
You don't
Everything
even have a printer,
I use, I don't own a printer. Everything I use is on my computer. So if I can do it, you can do it as well.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, guys. Really exciting to hear all the pointers out there, and I'm sure our participants will reach out to you guys. So once again, Cerize Roets from Creative CFO, thank you for your insight and being the case study in the Creative Compliance Checklist. Josh Alexandre, been awesome. I hope you enjoy out there in Quebec, which used to be known as Port Elizabeth. So good luck. And but yeah, it's a virtual world out there, so I'm sure we'll catch up down the line. Ladies and gentlemen. Definitely. That is it. This is a wrap. And thank you for joining us. Good afternoon.
Thank you so much, everyone. Bye. Bye-bye.